The next speaker is also a hero of dealing with difficult audiences in difficult places at difficult times on Question Time. Fantastic activist, founded Birmingham Stop the War Coalition and so many other activities over so long. Can we say a big thank you and a very warm welcome to Salma Yaqoob.
I remember 10 years ago, over 50, the hope, the amazing atmosphere. I brought my whole family down then, as I have today. There were 200 coaches from Birmingham alone that we were organising with a whole lot of other activists. Absolutely brilliant. On that day, my 3 sons, Hamza was then 6, Mikhail was 5, and Azza was a baby of 4 months, and now I have 2 teenagers and a 10-year-old. So what's happened since then? What's gone on in the last 10 years? I'd like to spend my few minutes to reflect really on the impact of these wars on the British community right here, because Stop the War Coalition rightly identified 3 key aims. 1, to stop the war. Secondly, to defend against the attack on civil liberties, which would be unleashed, and as you know, have been. And thirdly, to stop the racist backlash against the Muslim community right here. And the fact is this: whilst we did not stop the war, the process, the fact, the reality of so many people coming together to say, not in our name, the fact the majority of those people actually were not Muslim, they were not Arab, they were not Iraqi, but they came because of that shared sense of humanity. That, I believe, helped to restore a sense of belonging to the Muslims in this country, and also a sense of shared humanity and acknowledgement by people abroad. I got emails from Iraq, from Palestine, saying to me, we appreciate the fact you made that stand. Because it's insult to injury. Not only are people killed, blown up, demonised, but their very humanity is not acknowledged. And by us doing that, we should not underestimate the impact. And do not underestimate your impact of what you did that day, and by your very presence, because I know how it uplifts me, how it inspires me. Because I was one of those people in the dark days after 9/11, who were sitting with my family saying, where will we go? Which country would we now feel safe in? Because there was this fear that, like Bosnia, that an attack from inside would come, because the hatred was so great. And I'd like to say that that bulwark of solidarity has been totally effective, but I can't. This is a sombre reflection. Because with the state mechanisms, with the media that we have, 10 years of this so-called war on terror, which I very much believe has been a war of terror, has damaged relations and the culture within our country. It is not surprising that we get the Prime Minister of this country talking in terms of Muslims as people who don't have shared values. It's dog whistle politics when the mainstream politicians talk, but most people understand it's Muslims that they are talking about. It doesn't surprise me that in a survey that 37% of people in this country would support a party which called for a reduction of the number of Muslims here. That 3/4 of British people believe that Islam is not compatible with being British. That's kind of scary if you're a Muslim. And this is despite the fact that in similar polls it shows that actually Muslims are the most integrated, identify most with being British, over 80%, higher than any other community. There is a contradiction there. So much of the rhetoric is about the fact we don't integrate, so little on what is actually being done to institutionalise the prejudice that we face. It's not accidental. It's in order to carry out wars abroad, you have to dehumanise people. They can't say, well, we're going in there because we want our mates in Khalil, don't know, whatever multinational company their mates are supporting. They don't say that. They say we're doing it out of democracy. We do it because we care, because of those awful Islamist terrorists. And by tarring us all with that brush, they justify their foreign occupations. So it has had a corrosive effect in our country. And when children, they say to me, well, where's the hope? So many people marched, what now? I have to remind them, and that's the same way I remind myself, that any achievement of progress has not happened without a deep and long struggle. I mean, we've got these fantastic films out at the moment, Django and Lincoln, and they're very uplifting. You know, you get the one hero coming along and you get the rapid change, you know. If only life could be like that Hollywood blockbusters. But the reality is any real change, whether it was the emancipation of women, whether it was the civil rights movement, whether it was about the anti-racist struggle, whether it was indeed about abolishing slavery, came about through a determined, long-term struggle. And I want to quote to you from such an abolitionist, which inspires me to this day. He's long dead, but the idea of struggle that you and I have to remain engaged in, I think is not only true, but very powerful. If there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favour freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men who want crops without ploughing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. And I would say our struggle right now is twofold. One, to continue this great anti-war movement. We can see now with the other fronts being opened up, the so-called war on terror is by no means over. But as they divide us, we have to find that opposition of solidarity. And we're already seeing those signs. We're seeing now the austerity attack, which is actually impacting on communities up and down this country. But the racist discourse that goes along with that is not accidental. Which is why I hope to see each and every one of you at the People's Assembly, which is happening in June. And as another example of something which has actually given me hope. You know, there was a group of people in this country who were reviled because people thought they were different, who were actually sectioned under the Mental Health Act of 1960 because they had a different lifestyle from the majority, who were actually deemed illegal in the child choices that they made. But just this week, our politicians voted for equal marriage. And that wasn't because they'd led on it, but because they followed the cultural change, the cultural revolution that had taken place. And that was a patient and long struggle. So I would say that we, the people in this room, should recommit ourselves because it's the right thing to do. We should not be afraid of the work and the patience that it takes, because I do believe that in the long term, we will win.
Thank you very much for that and for all that you do and all the inspiration you give to so many people. It's absolutely fantastic.